is Nico. 5th place. We'll see, though, how he performs in his game 2 and game 3. Right now, it's the second one we're watching on stream for the DreamHack Open. Remember, 400,000 people signed up for this tournament across multiple regions. We're on NA East, down to the top 500, and only 100 can make it right through. So let's see where people drop. Yeah, I mean, he was a primarily duo player that a lot of people, him and Aspect, they always, you know, you hear one, you think about the other two, and they were the primary source of learning how to play duos, learning how to calm with your teammates. Masterclass, basically, in skill. Nice pickle by Bernos there. A lot of Fortilla action here today. And here's the man himself against the winner from last game.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different things right now that I'm looking at. Vevi, obviously the winner, like you said. Animal dropping at the Authority, a very aggressive spot, but also that means that Benji was still landing at the Authority, even though he's on EU ping. Animal, though, on the back foot against Vevi. 2 players who are up there on the leaderboard. I think top 3 versus basically top 10, which means that this fight could have impacts far-reaching and wide. Pressure coming in. This is basically a full-on box fight. If we were in creative, this entire room has been transformed into effective HP. You should be able to just fire through this, although I don't know where I saw the burst from. It's not his inventory anymore. Maybe I just completely missed. He loses track of him too. Vevi might be able to make an escape out the side. Here we go, last charge shots, and it works. Animal with 2, and he wins the Authority.
Looking to take their shot, but at the same time see those fights like we saw with Animal still going on in their POIs. P-God gets absolutely beamed, and someone else sharing the same fate over at 20 stands. It's gonna be by a shark though, oh god.
I can't even laugh anymore, man. I can't even laugh. And forcing Tiltern to jump over the hedge, though P-God dropping in the box. He's gonna charge up that shotgun. Tiltern not afraid to take this, not afraid to take the edits on the charge. Let's see how this goes, a full box from P-God, and he will switch to the AR, but the aim is better for Tiltern. Last ammo remaining, and he is able to clean that up. Fights like these are breaking out a little bit more comfortably, especially as people lose their first. There's a nade thrown in the middle of the box. Oh, it snuck in, no! And all of a sudden, Positive, I don't think he even realized that. He has to be aggressive to at least get him off. He's gonna phase the ramp, but it's not quick enough. Has to edit up and go up. But is he actually gonna buy the time? No, I don't think so, because he has to reload the charge, but the other player backs up to get a big pot. Nades coming in though, and this is what you were talking about, so many different players. Positive with no heals either to get his way back into this. All he has to do is hit one big shot, but that is going to be so difficult when they're playing defensive.
Has to be a perfect 1-2. This rarity has to warrant a headshot with that charged shotgun. But the edit this other player has, it's not gonna be an easy one to hit for Positive.
Trying to contain his opponent, not actually trying to regain control of the box that he needs. The zone is coming, and it is going to be a 1 tick. So 5 seconds in, and he will fall to his shots. He tried to take the combat apple, but out in the open when there's already somebody looking at you, there's no chance you're making out of that. I think he didn't realize the zone was coming in time. I didn't even realize. I was so focused on the intricacies of that box fight.
And although people are winning box fights left and right, they're using so many resources, so much time, that when they finally get in zone, they have to double the amount of brick, the amount of wood they use for their bases. Resolving pressure. Animal, though, the man of the match, I would say, still getting elimps tactically, not in prolonged box fights, not losing shields anymore after Authority. He's looking strong here, and he has one of the best positions in Sweaty Sands. Look at these bases. Towler's has some real estate. It's kind of like an L base. Niddle has an entire, I would say, bungalow down here near the swimming pool. Animal, we already saw his control near the hotel, but Jin is knocking on his door. Simp right behind him.
What?
Is that a shark?
It's just chopping down his builds, man. The entire time. I think there was some like a loot trail kind of leading in through Animal's base that the shark was just like, yeah, I'm gonna eat it up. He took some damage from that too.
Imagine being somewhere on height, seeing a shark and throwing like minis or something to attract it to certain bases. Like, like a little pet.
Yeah. He actually is gonna have to move no matter where the zone goes, so not going to be able to hang on to that unless he builds forward, but I don't expect the server to allow that.
It's a one crash pad thing. I always feel like it's so risky to be there, but then I forget about this one item that we see used every single endgame.
Yeah.
Each complex has their own king too. It's a no-name right now that we see above Serbs, but they're getting pressured the least, and Serb is getting taken down so close for a nice one charge, but wow, if you just make a single mistake.
That's 2 games in a row too for Serbs where he, you know, does decently to get to this point. The last game we saw a couple snipes out of him, which puts him up towards 50 points. So that's at least okay, but has to have better moving forward. But as long as he stays that consistent, things should look okay for him. Thinking about the threshold for top 100 in EU, it was slightly above, what was it, 260 or so. I'll have to recheck on that one. I kind of just made that number up after his time. Oh, Strobe! Unfortunately, as he tries to get towards 5th, he does get hit quite a lot off of that power position that you're talking about, but the crash pad placed down in Sweaty allowed him to get forward. Yes, he does. Goes into the side, and he's going to be able to find a spot in zone, though. Nostalgia opens on him, misses the shot, though.
There's action on all sides. Rubefied is also wall-to-wall with KSV, who was at the bottom of his base. That player we were talking about near the center was the latest to move for this zone. Rubefied finally chomps down onto KSV. Nevify is now the new king of, I think, this entire zone. Paper, though, still sitting nearby, did not take, I think, any damage at all. He was staying on 150 the entire time from the last zone. So he's playing very well, but probably used a lot of mats to get where he got. Tyler's, though, on the same side as Animal, still alive. Cadron, Balla mentioned him before. Looks like he has some type of mobility because he's looking very strong in hard metal bases. Still, though, fights box to box.
Show might engage in that as well. I think, yes, he will. There's a player fighting somebody else on the backside of it. It's Ace against Kadrent. Kadrent backing off, but Strobe will take huge advantage of that. There's some chug splashes and a bunch of loot. The refresh is okay. I think the reason why that player was fighting in the first place was low materials at all. He didn't even pick up any of the heals from that at all, so no benefit besides the siphon, but at least there's that. Launchpad ahead of zone quite early because he was on the backside. So has to land now, and maybe also has to find himself another Elim. Lands next to Niddle, though, so this might get difficult.
5 letters on Strobe's brain, and that's speed. He's going to be pushing straight forward, box to box. Has a nice shot. Wow, what an adjustment. Gets that pick down. 60 builds, now has more. Could cap all the way out. 25 seconds till this zone closes in. Ronnie getting seen down. Friend on friend action. That's very unfortunate. Strobe's on the backside. He gets to see everything develop and then pick his spot. Although he was playing very reactionary, now it's time to slow down and think, though. On the top side, it's a fight for who can say they have ultimate height and the drop on everyone else. It'll be Rich Homie Boone, I believe, against Ronnie.
And I think he's gonna be able to take him out in zone. Boone now has to layer down, elevate his way all the way, but Ronnie has height. There's crash pads all around. I don't see the shockwave launcher, but it could still be in play. Meanwhile, Strobe still doing what he does best, sneaking in the old builds and almost get another shot. Ronnie with 61 builds, he'll be able to stay up in this for sure, but for how long? It's a crash pad across the way. Hopefully he'll be able to maintain height. Yes, he looks back and nobody's taking advantage.
And there are these dark horses, Rubefied, Niddle, Moody, never even seen a shot just yet, still staying alive, building perfectly. Ronnie, though, controlling everything in this absolutely aquatic zone that is not moving anywhere near land. So it's you and your builds versus the world. Right now, there are a few people in zone, but everyone is holding side by side, arm to arm, just trying to survive. Paper is in the thick of it the most. Strobe around his box. There's people launch padding, crashing left and right. It's chaos all around. You can't understand it. You can only react. People now are starting to fall a little bit behind. There's builds being broken. Ronnie up against a build fight against someone who has no HP. The last push he can make, he gets a big shot off onto Ronnie. On the bottom side, though, things are changing. We have Strobe getting 2 quick picks back to back, playing position perfectly, and Ronnie holds down to the top side of the zone. Niddle, though, waiting for his chance to take things over.
But Ronnie drops down and actually finds the shockwave launcher in zone, and with floppers, he's gonna be able to take the time to use this as best as possible. Gonna hold on the height too. At the same time, Strobe still looking with the compact SMG in boxes and taking a lot of shots down below. I believe Paper's now out. Niddle's still in this. still some threats, especially Strobe as he looks and gets another one. Pre-fired by 50 ping is on the backside of that. Strobe still pressuring, but now running out of materials. Hasn't got actually any refresh. Ronnie's still on height with Kit's charge, though, and the shockwave launcher.
Someone needs to stop Strobe. We know Ronnie has the best chance to win this game, but this man is picking up every single elimination. He's getting all the points away from everyone else. Slacks is going to be his next target. Box to box, Strobe is looking in, trying to see who he can find next with this big charge. It's suspense on all fronts. There's big shots coming down. Ronnie out of those is looking to push straight in. He gets one. That's Blonde finally down. Strobe there, wall to wall, trying to pick things up. It's finally the two Titans back to back. Strobe does not see people behind him.
And here comes Caddy, the shockwave launcher up, but no, he loses to pre-fire by 50 ping, and the shockwave launcher is now in his hands, up on height as well, potentially more material. Strobe still staying low. Another P90, yes, onto Slacks. He's down, 1v1v1. Shockwave launcher is in play all the way up. He's actually out of zone, but he has the glider gun to get back in, but we'll get shredded by Strobe, but it doesn't matter as pre-fire gets another one too. Hold on, he dropped it. I don't know where that went. Roke will win. Did they trade the shockwave launcher in the final moments? I think they just did.
500 players, whittling it down to 100, trying to make it into the grand finals right now. Taking a look at the top 20 here, chat, you can see number 1, it is Buck FPS, and then we have pre-fired by 50 ping, Paper in third.